If we define leadership as influence, it is plain to see how important the rule of ethics is in the action of a leader. That's why the topic of the leadership ethics is central to your leadership development.
What is ethical leadership? Ethical leadership is leadership that is directed by respect for ethical beliefs and values and for the dignity and rights for others. It is thus related to the concepts such as trust, honesty, consideration, and fairness. Leadership is the ability or authority to guide and direct others towards a goal. Most people agree that effective leadership is essential for a company. There are several types of ethical leadership behaviors you can practice to develop the soft skills in different settings. Like these two examples. First, communicate ethics. Second, establish zero tolerance for ethical violations. Communicate ethics. Ethical leaders need to be a good communicators. They should become comfortable speaking in public, leading meetings, and writing communications that clearly articulate what they are trying to convey. Good relationship between leaders are their teams and build in fairness, integrity, and trust. Ethical leaders are effective at building this relationship via communication. Establish zero tolerance for ethical violation. Ethical leaders do the right things at all times, not just when it is convenient or someone is watching, and they hold their employees to the same standard. For this reason, they cannot tolerate any sort of ethical violation. Implementing a zero-tolerance policy is helpful in conveying the leader's expectation of themselves and others.
Ethical leaders always know how to do the right things. It may be difficult to define exactly right is, but a leader who is ethical is not afraid to do what they truly believe to be right, even if it is unpopular, unprofitable, or inconvenient. Here are some ethical leadership characteristics. Justice. An ethical leader is always fair and just. They have no favoritism and treat everyone equally. Under an ethical leader, no employee has any reason to fear biased treatment on the basis of gender, nationality, or any other factor. Respect others. One of the most important traits of ethical leadership is the respect that is given to followers. An ethical leader shows respect all members of the team by listening to them attentively, valuing their contributions, being compassionate, and being generous while considering opposing viewpoints. Honesty. It goes without saying that anyone who is ethical will also be honesty and loyal. Honesty is particularly important to be an effective ethical leader because followers trust honesty and dependable leaders. Ethical leaders convey facts transparently no matter how unpopular they may be.
Being a good leader isn't easy. While a leader's action may be scrutinized when things are going bad, it is their leadership qualities that shine through the worst of time. It is the same qualities that employees look up to, respect, and work hard to gain their qualities to great leadership. The best leaders exhibit certain qualities that make them hugely successful. Here are 5 attributes of some of today's truly great leaders.
They are clear and concise at all times. There are no question of their visions and what needs to be accomplished. This gives others the opportunity to digest their goals and decide whether or not they will support their cause. Good clarity leads to great achievement.
Decisiveness. Being decisive shows commitment, a quality very high in demand for a great leader. Once they have made up their mind, they don't hesitate to commit. It's all hands on deck. They show gets consistency with their decisions, rarely backing out or changing their minds unless it is absolutely necessary. Courage. Boldness is both something you can develop and something that is blessed as a virtue. Although some people are naturally more fearless than others, practicing how to be fearless is a completely doable task, one many have achieved in order to fulfill their role as amazing leader. Passion. There's nothing more inspirational than seeing someone who cares about what they do.
Humility. While confidence is a very attractive trait in leaders, there's nothing like a humble character for creating a lovable persona. Great leaders admit when they are wrong and take criticism as opportunity for growth. Show the world how grateful you are to be where you are. This, in return, will demonstrate how much you deserve the leadership role.
Can leaders be developed? Many believe leaders are born. Others believe leadership is a learned skill. The truth is that both are true constructs. Some are born with inherent skills that lend to being more influential than others, but all people can learn and develop skills that can enhance the talents we are born with. If people can develop leadership skills, then the real question is, how does one develop as a leader? And is there a way to approach leadership development that makes sense for individuals at all stages of responsibility? Let's take a look at a comprehensive yet very easy to understand model of leader development that is referenced from FM 6-22 Leader Development. The bottom line is that leadership starts with influence. The ability to influence people, operations, or organizations in the direction that an individual wishes is by definition leading. Activities that enhance one's ability to exercise influence over people, operations, or organizations would logically be the building blocks for leader development. But developing influence is only part of effective leader development. Just because one can effectively influence others, that doesn't mean he or she makes good decisions or performs in an ethical manner. An equally important element to consider when developing leaders is one's ability to think critically and make sound, timely decisions. Effective leaders make good decisions. Learning how to think critically is an essential first step to ultimately making good decisions. Depending on the leadership role and level of responsibility of the leader, the complexity of problems faced will increase, as will the impact and gravity of the decisions being made. But again, developing one's ability to critically think and make sound, timely decisions doesn't equate to leader development. We cannot escape the reality that being an influential decision-maker will have consequences. There are too many examples where solid ethical awareness from leaders was lacking and the results were tragic. Examples range from the way leaders conduct themselves and treat those they have influence over, to major corporate decisions that impact internal and external stakeholders, to even larger institutions that are led to conduct unspeakable tragedies like genocide. Developing leaders comprehensively and responsibly requires developing ethical awareness at all levels. Only developing some of the elements of influence, thinking and decision-making, and ethics and moral courage will leave gaps in leader development. Let's consider the red, yellow, green, and purple areas in the diagram. Red, developing an influential individual who can contextually think and make decisions, but the context from which they make the decisions is not grounded in ethics and morality, is developing the potential for dishonesty, corruption, and even cruelty. Yellow, developing an influential individual who is grounded in ethics, but cannot think critically and who lacks the skill in reasoning and decision-making, is developing a leader who may not be able to make effective decisions and lead the organization in the wrong direction. Green, developing an individual with the solid ability to think critically and make sound decisions that are grounded in ethics, but cannot influence people, operations, or organizations, is only developing a potential leader. In this case, good ideas are left untried. Purple, the balance lies in the center. Effective, ethical leaders must develop in all three areas. Now that the concept of effective ethical leadership is understood, it is important to understand that utilizing this model at different levels of responsibility is crucial. Leadership development resides on a continuum based on career progression, personal growth, desire, and responsibility. Each level of development is dependent on having solid understanding and mastery of the level below it. For simplicity, let's consider this model across three levels of leadership development: direct, organizational, and strategic. Direct leadership examples in the three areas are influence. Direct leadership, motivating individuals and teams, leading by example, persuasion, presence, direct communication, tasking. Thinking and decision-making, learning, mastering craft or profession, solving linear problems, recognizing patterns and trends, observation, informing oneself, decision-making that affects mostly small groups or individuals. Ethics and moral courage, understanding the law as it relates to one's profession, empathy on an individual basis, understanding self-values. Organizational leadership examples in the three areas are influence, direct and indirect leadership, communicating to larger groups, negotiations, establishing workplace climate, setting the example, understanding and aligning organizational design, culture, and change, writing policy, developing talent, implementing change management. Thinking and decision-making, learning organizational leadership, understanding how elements of an organization work together, planning, critically thinking through and solving complex problems, understanding and aligning activities with mission and vision. Ethics and moral courage, leading others to make ethical decisions. Accountability, understanding and developing positive corporate culture, ensuring company actions align with company values. Strategic leadership examples in the three areas could consist of influence, influencing leaders inside and outside the organization, setting trends, creating market share, organizational direction, empowering leaders, encouraging achievement, cultivating corporate culture, communicating vision and mission. Thinking and decision-making, critically thinking to solve complex and wicked problems, creative thinking to establish vision and direction and managing resources effectively. Ethics and moral courage, establishing how the organization ought to act. Civic stewardship, social responsibility of the organization, environmental impact, corporate charities and donations, partnering with responsible corporations, looking at the greater good. Leadership development comes in many forms, including formal education, training, and by experience and mentorship. The leader development model is crucial to the individual seeking self-improvement and to those responsible for formal leader development. Developing the three elements of influence, thinking and decision-making, and ethics and moral courage across the spectrum of responsibility and authority is crucial to ensuring leaders develop and grow into effective ethical leaders.